Hello, fellow members of the human race, and anybody else that might be listening, observing, uh, spectating. You never know, right? In this day of advanced technology, who knows, huh? Who knows? Who knows what's watching? Who knows who is watching? I'm being a little silly, I suppose, but not really. Um, I have become more and more amazed by Gene Roddenberry's work in Next Generation. I've just watched a couple of episodes that really made me think. Quality of life. This guy addressed so many things that were going to come to fruition or come to being that are hard to imagine how he did it and how his mind worked like it did. This particular episode addresses artificial intelligence, which is like the biggest thing. It's right now, it's the biggest, most important aspect of technology that's ever happened. And to think 100 years ago, 100 years, that's not that much when you think that the Earth has been around for 4 billion years. But you go back 100 years to 1922, they were just getting familiar with electricity. And they had none of the modern conveniences that we have now, such as cold drinks whenever I want one. I get a little bit of a dry throat and thirst right now. I can just get up and walk about 10 to 15 feet right over there. See the refrigerator? That's the refrigerator right there. And I've got wine. I've got sugar-free cranberry juice. I have cashew almond milk, chocolate milk, all cold. Now it's cold outside. Yeah, I can put this stuff outside, but I can't control the temperature out there. You see the point that I'm making? You go back 100 years, the life that people were leading and living then was drastically different than what we know now. I don't think there was anybody. Jules Verne, I guess, predicted space exploration, and H.G. Wells, science fiction. Like nothing like Gene Roddenberry did with Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation, especially Next Generation. I would like to have been inside his mind. I would just wish that I could have been around him, and one of these amazing persons and with creative ability beyond comprehension. So what's the big deal about Star Trek Next Generation? Well, look what they were using. They were using iPads. They were using these little, what looks to me to be my iPhone 7 Plus, to do all kinds of programming and wireless communications between their device and other devices. I'm doing that right now. I'm doing that right now. I'm creating a small or a short video. And people tell me they're not short enough, but that could be. I got to be confident that I get my point across, though. And the quality of life is an episode of Star Trek Next Generation. I believe it's season 6. And these little machines are created to go around and repair, a space station, and sometimes in dangerous tasks where they're programmed to go into it's like one of these robots that we have to go looking for. I always laugh when I think about what they're looking for. When they're looking for bombs, I just laugh because we're still making bombs these days, and they're sent in instead of human beings because, if a robot is killed or destroyed, um, it's not as bad as a human being being killed. And there's a good amount of logic to that. But these machines in this episode, they're called exocoms, they expand their neural network and they start reasoning on how to solve certain problems and make decisions how they're going to do that. That's not only artificial intelligence, it's artificial life, but actually it's life. No such thing as artificial life. Either it's alive or it's not. Like Gene Wilder says in Young Frankenstein, it's alive. Young Frankenstein, it's alive. They're pulling a corpse out of the ground. Mortality and immortality just seem to be occupying my thoughts all the time now, not just occasionally. Part of that's because I'm retired and I don't have to worry about supporting a family or the pressures on making a living have been diminished, and I have not used that freedom as well as I could have, and because I guess I'm a little lazy sometimes. So Gene Roddenberry in this one episode addresses artificial intelligence. They have constant verbal communication with the computer on the spaceship. We're still trying to refine that. We haven't, listen, when I hit that little microphone icon when I'm sending a text message and I just want to talk my message and it's supposed to understand what I'm saying and then transpose it into the written word on the text message, it works maybe 65% of the time. There's always a grammatical mistake when I'm done, just saying a paragraph. There's all kinds of inflections and dialects and accents involved in when people speak. And we haven't gotten to the artificial intelligence level yet where the machine, like my iPhone that I'm speaking into, can tell if I'm from Russia or Alabama or Japan or Australia or England, France, Italy. There's different languages, different dialects, but we're getting there, and I just wish that other sectors of our culture could make the same kind of progress. Star Trek Next Generation, I mean, it ran for 7 amazingly successful seasons. I think the Love Boat did better than that. I think the Love Boat was around for 12 seasons or something like that. And that's interpersonal relationships, which we find just as fascinating as technology. But the question of what is life and how do you define life, a life form, comes up in this episode, and it really hit me because there were several answers to that question offered in this episode, and they're all good, but one of the most basic aspects of life is the instinct to survive. I see it all the time, except on the Route 30 bypass out here. It looks to me like people don't care if they survive driving that or not. They don't really care. They care about the speed. They want to go faster, which really bothers me, but at the same time, I can't deny that it's part of the human condition to want to go faster. I mean, I wanted to go to the moon when I was a kid. When I was watching it, not a kid. I was an adolescent. I was a teenager when the Apollo mission, the Apollo program started, and I was fascinated from day one. Going to space? Can we do that? Oh yeah. And then we stopped after Apollo. I love listening to Elon Musk when he talks about that. Right? We went to the moon and then we stopped. That's not the human condition. The human condition is to keep going. So yeah, Star Trek Next Generation, I see all these things. He was 2 decades ahead of the first iPhone being released. And that took a guy like Steve Jobs, who, a unique individual, no question. You know, these guys they're pulling all these technology advancements, or doing all these technology advances. They're unique. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, on and on. Satoshi Nakamoto, which is just remarkable, the creation of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the way of the future. I don't think anybody with any intelligence can look at our economic situation and our monetary system and say that that's better than Bitcoin. The problem that they have is this caveman instinct, not to hoard what they have, the control. The government doesn't want to give up the control that it has. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Gene Roddenberry. As I get older, and I've gone through these years, I can relate, like a lot of the stuff that he put into the programming of Star Trek Next Generation, I found to be evident in my life, you know. What's real, what's not real, what's mortal, what's immortal. Several of the episodes in SNG, that's Star Trek Next Generation, involve this character known as Q, who seems to be God. Apparently, he's as close to God as any sentient being can be. You know, he's got these superpowers. He's like Superman. Only, he's. I think I'd rather be Q than Superman. Superman's great, but Q, there's no kryptonite that can get him. There's no resistance is futile. It's futile with Q. But he's an interesting character, and what was the name of the episode that I just watched? The same season, season 6. Oh, True Q. That's the other episode that I'd recommend you watch, because there's a girl that is assigned to the Enterprise, and unbeknownst to them, she's born as a Q, and there's some issues the Continuum has with letting her exist as a Q. Q can make things appear, disappear. They can go to outer space. They don't need air to breathe. They're like omnipotent, pretty much. Are they immortal? Could be. Could be. But does immortality mean that does that translate to being a deity? That's the question that Gene Roddenberry is proposing. Is like we're going to figure out immortality. I don't think there's any question about that anymore. Recognizing the achievements of artificial intelligence by NVIDIA, by Tesla, by, what's the other company? Well, I guess Microsoft is there too in the artificial intelligence arena. And there's another number of startup companies, one that I've invested in, that are only dedicated to artificial intelligence. What is that? That is, you have a computer chip that's programmed to do something, but it runs into a problem, and it needs to learn. It's machine learning. So the chip is programming this car to drive down this road by itself, but then a squirrel jumps out in front of it. Is that going to be able to recognize and analyze the dangers of slowing down to avoid the squirrel, or should it keep driving forward and run over and kill the squirrel? Instead of a squirrel, what if it's a human being? We're special on this planet, no doubt. But in terms of where we are in the universe, I couldn't believe that we're that special, because Gene Roddenberry addresses this a number of times, that we're kind of living in the dark ages compared to where we're going to be in 500,000, maybe another 1,000 years. That's something that is thrilling for me to think about, because if you go back 2,000 years from where we are now, have we really progressed all that much? Yeah, we get around better. We've got better creature comforts, but we're still killing each other in amazing numbers. Amazing numbers. Which is like, that's not a mystery at all. Killing somebody else, all you need is a couple $100, go buy a gun and pull a trigger. I mean, what kind of advanced intelligence is that? That's the caveman. That's caveman era, you know, where, hey, that caveman's wife is better looking than mine, and he has more food. He's doing something better. Now I could learn from him and take the long road and learn to do what he's doing, or I could just kill him and take everything he has. What choice would you make? You think you know what choice you'd make, considering the fact that you've never, well, maybe you've been in that situation, I don't know. But a lot of times we like to take the easy way out, you know. Rarely is that the way to go, but it could be. Anyway, I recommend these 2 episodes on Star Trek Next Generation. True Q, and put yourself into the context of the show. You're this person that has been born with these special powers and you're just discovering them. You're like 19, 20 years old and you're just discovering that you have these powers. And the species that you were created within, the continuum, which is the Q, knows who you are and knows that you may not be able to control those powers, and that you have to come and live with them. You can't stay amongst inferior beings like human beings and not be affected by the crazy emotions. Crazy emotions which I've experienced in mass quantities in the past 10 months because of an incident where I sacrificed my self-esteem, and I shouldn't have. But my reaction, my thinking process is I should have lashed out at the person that caused me to have these horrible emotions, and I didn't. I pretty much walked away from the person, and the person, and that was the right thing to do. But then I let this person come back and be involved in my life, and that was the wrong thing to do. I see that clearly now. Why couldn't I see it clearly 20 years ago? My learning chip in my brain is trying to figure this out. And am I creating additional neural pathways inside my brain? I doubt it. I doubt it. However, I still have this insatiable desire to learn, and I can't stop it. And I wanted to know, and this is the most difficult problem. I mean, you know, Einstein's theory of relativity is nothing compared to sorting through your emotions and knowing which ones to acknowledge and act on and which ones should be blocked or turned off or managed better. Anger, hostility, animosity, hatred, contempt. How do we block those things? How do we turn that switch off or on, whichever one's going to suit us better? Well, we don't have the ability to turn them off or on. Maybe that's the infinite wisdom of the deity that we worship all the time. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this to anybody's attention who happens to be listening. Season 6, I believe, and the episodes, you can just Google, you know, Star Trek Next Generation, True Q, and quality of life. Quality of life means the definition of life. And that's a fascinating topic to discuss. Maybe I'll get involved in a Bible group, which I don't think that they want to go down that road. You never know. Gotta give people a chance to see where they're at. I hope you all are having a very good quality of life. And but the quality of life in the show isn't good or bad life. Is something alive or not? And we are fastly. I don't hate, but I have to mention Elon Musk again about his commentary on artificial intelligence. His company is significantly advanced in this area compared to any other company, artificial intelligence. And he actually came out and said that this sector needs regulation, because if we wake up one day and there's robots walking around outside, he said that at that point it's too late, and he could be right. artificial intelligence is machine intelligence, machine learning. We're not machines, as another character in another episode said. We're not just machines, like you are, Commander Data. That's true. I wish that I could be like Commander Data sometimes and not have any emotions. I think my life would be simple, easier. I think I'd probably accomplish more. That being said, I might miss out on some of those. I might really badly miss some of those emotions, but the majority of them are emotions, I think, are synonymous with a lack of control or a tendency to lose control of your behavior. I think that's what emotions can cause. And they can be wonderful, and they can be terrible, too. Anyway, here's to the wonderful emotions that I hope you all are feeling this holiday season. And may they persist and last and be with you for the remainder of whatever time you have left. Peace.